Hey everyone, I'm Kronos, and this is part 3 of the Baldur's Gate 3 Honor Mode Glitchless achievement tutorial series. If you haven't watched parts 1 or 2 yet, make sure to follow along from there first. This part will cover from the start of the Githyanki fight all the way to the end of the game. So we have just left off from Act 2, the end sequence there, into Act 3, which is the camp sequence right in between the two. And right after this camp scene here, we get the big fight with the Githyanki. And that fight sequence is probably the hardest section of the run, so I'm going to cover it pretty in depth here. And right now we're going to go ahead and make all the necessary preparation for our characters for the rest of the game. So we're going to go ahead and have our tab, use Enhanced Sleep and Featherfall, and just jump down to Jaheira, as we're going to buff up Jaheira with Enhanced Sleep and Featherfall as well, so we can get her to go ahead and respec her to a fighter with Withers. And this is very important for the rest of the game sequence as well, since Jaheira will be our primary character for a lot of the sequence coming up here. And having her as a fighter allows us to do a lot more things that make it a lot easier compared to a druid. So right here, we just jump ahead to Withers, and we're going to have Withers change her class. And once again, we're choosing a fighter. The fighting style, we just stick with defense, and we're going to go ahead and buff up 17 strength, 16 dexterity, and 15 constitution. And this is for all the strength for throwing our enemies, since that's the primary method we'll be using to take care of all our enemies for the rest of the game. We're going to have 16 dex for the initiative rolls, and 15 constitution for the extra health, and that's very nice to have. And since Jaheira starts at a base level of 8, we're going to go ahead and just level her up all the way to that level. And it's going to be all fighter levels, and we're going to go ahead and choose pretty specific things for our feats and spells as well. So level 2, we just get Action Surge, which is extremely useful for this next fight. For our subclass, we're going to go ahead and use Eldritch Knight. This gives us extra spells that we can use. The cantrips we don't really use. These spells right here we don't need, but the expanded spells are the main important ones. So we're going to go ahead and choose Enhanced Sleep, and as you go, just for the extra jump distance. For this spell, it doesn't matter. But for the level 4, we're going to go ahead and replace one of the other spells besides Enhanced Sleep for Featherfall. And that just gives our Jaheira here all the movement that she needs. For our feats, there's 3 feats that we need, which are Ability Improvement, Alert, and Athlete. Doesn't matter what you choose in what order, but we're going to go ahead and just do it in order from top to bottom. So we're going to go Ability Improvement for 19 Strength. And then with our next level, we don't worry about replacing any of these spells. For level 6, we're going to go ahead and choose Alert for the initiative roll. And for level 7, these spells don't really matter either. And for level 8, we're going to go ahead and choose Invisibility as our next expanded spell, and Athlete with Strength as our last feat. And this should give us 20 strength, which is good enough for defeating some of these bigger enemies with the throw, which is the most powerful action in the game. So once we do all of that, we're going to be ready for our camp sequence to end here with all the Githyanki fight sequence, so make sure that you are all prepared, you have everything ready for your characters at this point, and go ahead and long rest. This will give us the camp sequence cutscene, and we can just choose action or dialogue option 1 for both of these, or for this first one. And we get the first Githyanki fight sequence here. So in this sequence, you notice that there's just 4 Githyanki here, or 3 Githyanki in the portal. And all we just need to do is have Jaheira cast Enhanced Sleep on herself and jump all the way basically to the portal. And since she has such a high amount of strength, just make sure to jump all the way to the portal past all these enemies and just click on it. And that skips the fight sequence in its entirety for the first part here. Once we get to this area, we're going to go ahead and make sure we ungroup our party. And we're going to go ahead and weave our way through all of these fights that are going around us, since we don't want to get involved in any of them, since our party is pretty underleveled here. So we're going to go ahead and with Jaheira and our Dirge, we're just going to jump all the way to the Emperor's sequence here. So make sure we just jump to this rock here to our left. And we're going to go ahead, and if you want to, you can grab this void bulb with your tab. It's not completely necessary, it's optional, but it does help out if you get a good initiative roll. And just keep making our way with Tab and Jaheira here. So there's another fight sequence that's happening at the top here. We're just going to jump to the bottom area instead with Jaheira and Dirge. And right before this sequence right here, there's we're going to make sure that we jump very close to the edge here, since if we jump too far, we'll start this fight sequence, and we don't want to do that yet. So just jump right to the very edge here with both our characters, and we're going to go ahead and prep everything that we need for this fight here. So we're going to go ahead and give Jaheira one of our potions of speed. And that should be basically your second potion of speed that's necessary in the run. If you don't have one, it makes this sequence quite a bit harder, but it's still technically doable, just way more difficult. So make sure you have at least one here. And we're going to go ahead and give Jaheira the silver pendant with guidance as well, since she'll be using it for this sequence here for additional rolls for the DC checks for these throws that we'll be doing. So here, Jaheira is going to prep a bunch of spells right before we do the end this sequence right here. And it does help if you cast dash before entering into the sequence, but since people sometimes think that that's kind of a glitch to allow yourself to get a second cast of dash or something, it can be done without it, but if you want it to be a lot easier, you would cast dash right beforehand as well. But here we're going to go ahead and with our tab, we're going to cast a bunch of spells which are Enhanced Sleep, Featherfall, and Enlarge on Jaheira. And Jaheira is going to cast Guidance and drink the Speed Potion. And if you want, dash as well. And that just gives you more movement speed for this sequence here. So once again, we're going to do all of this very quickly. So make sure you have everything in that order, because if you drink the Speed Potion first as well, that will expire the fastest, and we don't want that. So we drink the Speed Potion right before we start walking into the area. So once again, Enhanced Sleep on Jaheira, Featherfall, and then Enlarge. Then with Jaheira, we cast Guidance, and drink the Speed Potion and run in. And once we do all of that, we get the cutscene with the Emperor. We just skip past it and choose option dialogue 1 for both. And we enter into this fight sequence here. And there's a lot of Githyanki here, so you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And they're normally at randomish locations, but one's always at the top left here, one's always at the top right here, and two are always on the ground. So all your characters are normally going to go first, unless you get super unlucky where one of these Githyanki moves way before you do. But from here, we're going to just go ahead and have Jaheira do all of the work here. And Jaheira's just going to basically use the throw action to throw all of these Githyanki into these pits. Basically, if you can, you just hover around the area here and with one of the Githyanki chosen, and you should be able to throw them off the edge. Generally, it works better if they're a lot closer. If you can't get them close enough, you can use an extra throw action to just throw them closer to where they need to go. Or if you want to make use of a very simple glitch, you can use improvised melee weapon on one of the Githyanki. And when you left click to do the action, you just right click it to cancel it and it drags them closer. But since that's kind of a glitch, I'm not going to do that. But it's entirely possible to just do it with throwing these enemies here. So as you can see, you can't really get them to get thrown off the edge all the time, and it will kind of be like a lot of manipulating or just multiple throws. So I can just show you multiple ways of doing it. And yeah, just be very careful with how you're moving around and throwing these enemies, since you don't have too many actions to make use of. I believe you get 6 throw actions in one turn, which is very nice since there's only 4 enemies. But you also want to make sure that your movement is conserved, since you can only move so far before you can no longer jump to one of these enemies up top. And we want to make sure we have one more action to jump up top here. And that requires you to have enough movement to do that. So if one of your enemy, the Githyanki, is all the way to the back, just make sure to take note of that. And here we're just going to try to get rid of 2 of them at least. If you can get rid of 2, that is amazing and like what you want. You can get 3 off in one turn. That's normally what we get if we're lucky. And you can get all 4 in one turn if you get really, really lucky with things like the Void Bulb, which if your tab has a Void Bulb here, you can also use this Void Bulb to be thrown at one of these areas, for instance, and that can just make it a lot easier for you to do all of this stuff. So for instance, if I throw a Void Bulb right here, it will cause all the Githyanki to get closer to the edge right here. If they're both close enough to the edge where you can just throw both of them off, you can also throw the Void Bulb on this rock up top here and kind of get this guy to also fall down. And that helps a lot with getting this done in one turn. But that doesn't always work. So just keep note, if you do have a Void Bulb, you're able to do that with your Dirge. But here, I'm going to show once again, you can just throw the Githyanki to the place that you want. Sometimes you can see, oh, the target's too far away or something, so you can just throw them a little bit in that direction, and we can just go ahead and do the same thing. So once again, just throw the Githyanki off the edge, and when it's a red sign that says stuff like this, that means they're going to be thrown off the edge to the pit. Just like so. And that's one of them down, and we still have a lot more actions to go. So once again, just throw. And even though it says 50%, it's a lot more than that, just because the numbers don't actually show all the extra buffs that our character has. So that's 2 down, and we still have an extra action as well with Action Surge. And you can see that if you had more movement speed, you are able to do a bonus action, but I don't have enough because normally you can cast Dash before entering this fight sequence, and that gives you enough for a bonus action. But in the case that you don't, you can just be confident and fine with just getting rid of 2 of them, although it makes things a bit more difficult. And once again, we still have our action with our Tav, so I'm going to try to get this one down by throwing it on this rock, and we'll see what happens. And we can see that we got the Githyanki to fall down, which is very nice, and we should be able to get 3 down in 1 turn by just walking over and just throwing this guy off the edge. And that is all our actions done, and you can see we still have more throw actions if we wanted to use them, but we don't have any Githyanki left on the bottom here to get rid of. And once we do all of our actions with Jaheira that we can, we're just going to go ahead and end turn with all our characters, and Gale's turn is still happening here as well, even though he's not really in the fight, but he is, so we're just ending his turn. This gives the turns to all the intellect devourers and stuff, and the Githyanki's turn as well. And if there's only one Githyanki left as well, the Githyanki normally goes down very quickly to the Emperor, since the Emperor has like 1 super strong attack that works really well with it. I believe it just does like 70 damage to basically one-shot the Githyanki if there's only 1 left. Otherwise, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and pass our turns with our other characters. And if any of our characters die in this sequence, that's why we have Gale standing back, since we can just basically let the fight play out, and the Emperor should win if there's only like 1 or 2 Githyanki left. And Gale can just revive our characters if so. And yeah, we're just going to end our turn with our Dirge, with Gale, and if the Githyanki is in a good spot, we can basically throw the Githyanki as well here. So we're just going to attempt to do it by running over with Jaheira and seeing if we can throw them off. It's not quite good enough here, so we're just going to go ahead and throw them once here. We can dash as well to try to get even further and throw them off, and that can also work. And once you do that, you can just throw them off the edge, and that is the Githyanki sequence here. So I know that's quite a lot, and there is a lot of like random things that can happen in the Githyanki fight, but as long as you understand the basics like I described, you should be able to get through this sequence without too many issues. So here we are now done with probably the hardest sequence in the game, and all we need to do is just go through the Emperor's dialogue here. So we're just going to go ahead, thank him, and just continue through all this dialogue. There's quite a lot of dialogue here that is going on, and there are a couple very important choices. To make this dialogue go by faster, we're just going to skip this option with option 6, the Githyanki in the sphere, and then we're going to choose option 3. It doesn't really matter for this one either, but here just do option 3 again. And here, we're just going to make sure that we do not become an illithid. At least not right now, since this is very important for the end sequence. Since if we do become an illithid, it gives our character, or not really an illithid yet, like getting these additional powers of becoming a mind flayer, yeah? So just choose option 4 for these. And no way. And that's because if we do get the tadpole absorbed, we're going to change our jump action out for fly, and fly is a lot slower and doesn't go as far. We can still use the jump action, but it's kind of, you have to click it itself, and that kind of makes things a bit harder and more annoying. But once we do everything here, we're just going to go ahead and leave through the portal to back to the camp, and then long rest and leave the camp. And that gives us basically the end of Act 2's sequence with the Githyanki fight and entering into the start of Act 3. So once we enter Act 3, we're going to go ahead and have Jaheira do everything at this section as well. Because we have Enhanced Sleep and Featherfall, we're just going to go ahead and have her jump our way all the way through Rivington here. So Enhanced Sleep and Featherfall, and we're just going to have her jump all the way in this direction here. So just jump and follow this path. And we're going to go ahead and make sure that we use invisibility at one point here as well. And we're going to want to make sure that we do it at like the right point here, since we're going to try to bypass the guards that are in this area. So what we're going to do is go ahead and cast invisibility, jump onto this rock, and jump to the left here. And that's all we really need invisibility for, is to get past those guards at the gate. And we're just going to jump onto the rooftops here. And by jumping onto the rooftops, we're able to just jump all the way to Worm's Rock. And basically just skip this entire area. And we want to make sure that we jump to the corner of this rooftop and jump all the way down to the bottom area here. And once again, we just make sure that we cast Enhanced Sleep and Featherfall if they run out. Normally, right before we cast Invisibility beforehand, we use Enhanced Sleep and Featherfall as well, just so we have more time to do it. And we're just going to jump right in between the gap right here to the left. And that just skips past this bridge sequence, and we can just walk into the castle here. When we walk in, we get this cutscene for the Dark Urge, and basically skip past all of this sequence here. So basically we just choose option 1, and there we go. We are now in Worm's Rock. If you are not invisible at this point as well, the Steel Watchers will talk to you, and basically Gortash will talk to you here. We just say option 1, the city will never be yours, and that just lets us get free reign in Worm's Rock here. We're going to go ahead and use this door to the west side and get the waypoint for Worm's Rock right here. And that's something that we'll be traveling back to, since we'll be teaming up with Gortash for this part of the run as well. But first we're going to go ahead and jump all the way to the lower city here by walking to this area and just head to the lower city and skip basically this entire section. So once you enter the lower city, we're going to go ahead and have our Dirge basically do everything in this area. We're going to go ahead and use Enhanced Sleep and Featherfall on Dirge and just jump in this path here. And all we're doing is making our way to Orin in the sewers. And basically we're just jumping onto these rooftops and stuff in this path. There's a couple of things that you can do to help this sequence, or help for the rest of the game. For instance, if you need more gold, you can make a pit stop at Fellow Gear's Fireworks right here, and just go ahead and sell basically whatever you don't need. Basically, Ketheric's armor is a good example here. You can just sell the Reaper's Embrace here, and basically just get extra gold if we need it. You can also go to the Sorcerer's Sundries to grab an invisibility potion if you don't want to do the Gale end route and are trying to do the other speed route. And you can see that in some of the other videos that I've done as well. So it's not completely necessary, but it is just nice to keep in mind that you do have a lot of other options as well. Once again, we're just making our way all the way to Orin. Just jump onto these rooftops in this path, and around the inn here. And we're just going to jump all the way to the manhole, which is right here. And just going to go ahead and go and use it, which should lead us down to Orin. So once we're in the sewers here, we're going to go ahead and keep making our way to Orin in the sewers. Once again, keep using Enhanced Sleep and Featherfall, and jump past all of these guys here. So all these grease balls and stuff, they won't attack you, so there's no need to worry. Using this door here. And if you have Lae'zel or something still in your party, Lae'zel will be the NPC that appears here. It doesn't really matter which one it is. We just want to walk up to this area, and there should be Orin spawned in here as one of our party members, or as the other NPC as well. And here we just choose whatever option, just choose option 1 and stuff. And that gets Orin to reappear. So just do option 1 for all of these. And we're going to go ahead and get past this door here. So normally people don't understand this part here, but if you hit one of the hanging corpses up here, it's also the trigger to opening this door. There's a lot of ways to do it, but yeah, we just do that. And that opens the door to this entire area right here. So we're going to walk down the stairs a bit, and then here we don't want to walk too far past, since this entire area is a fight sequence, unless we go through this area as invisible. So we're going to go ahead and cast Enhanced Sleep, Featherfall, and Invisibility on our tab. And we're just going to jump all the way through this area very quickly. And just takes a couple jumps, should be like 3. It's pretty laggy jumps, but whatever. Just going to go ahead, jump here, jump to this area through the door, and walk through this metal door here. And that leads us to the Temple of Baal. We're just going to jump down as well here in this area. Jump down again with our dirge, which triggers the circle here, which is the waypoint for the Temple of Baal. And we're going to make our way with our dirge to jump all the way to the door. Make sure you don't hit any of these triggered paths here. And we're just going to talk to Celarius Fell, and he'll open the door for us. So we're just going to skip through his dialogue and click open it. And we just basically have him open the door here. Once we do that, we're just going to backtrack a little bit. So Enhance Sleep or Dirge, and jump back the way we came a bit, all the way to the waypoint here. Once we do that, we're going to go ahead and go back to our other characters, which are Jaheira and Gale. So we just switch over to them in the character menu, and they should be basically out in the lower city here. We're going to go ahead and go to the Temple of Baal with both of them, so you can just group your party members and fast travel to the Temple of Baal, and everyone should basically reappear into the Undercity right here. So now all our characters are going to get prepped for the Orin sequence, where we're going to defeat Orin by simply throwing her off the edge like we did with all the other Githyanki. And this has an extremely high success rate, even though it doesn't look like it. So with Jaheira, with all her buffs and everything, I believe it's a 96% chance of success, which is basically if you roll a 1d20, that's when you fail it. So yeah, as long as you don't get super unlucky with that, you should basically succeed in this throw every single time. Well, 96% of the time. So yeah. We're going to go ahead and ungroup our party here, so make sure that Jaheira's all on her own. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing that we did with Jaheira for the Githyanki fight, by giving her all of the buffs, except this time we don't need the speed potion, but we do need invisibility. So with Gale, we're going to give invisibility to Jaheira. But first we're going to want to make sure that we have all the uses of our stuff first. But this time we're doing Jaheira first, since we want invisibility to be applied last. So we cast Enhanced Sleep, Featherfall, and Guidance. And then with our tab, we're going to cast Enlarge on Jaheira. And with Gale, we can cast Invisibility on Jaheira as well. And with Jaheira, she's just going to make her way all the way down to Orin. And that's quite do as big jumps as you can. You should have a lot of leeway in terms of time for all of this. So as you can see, we still have like 5 turns left. And we're just going to jump all the way close to Orin and then turn on turn-based mode so we get all the time to line up this jump here. And since we're invisible and everything, we can just basically prep ourselves for all of this section. So if you're on controller, I don't know entirely if this still works. I believe you still have the same throw option and everything, so I believe it all works on controller as well, so there should be no need to worry. You can also use the tactical camera as well to help position yourself too. So we're just going to go ahead and walk our way just onto this altar a little bit here. We're going to do throw on Orin and basically manipulate the camera so we're able to just throw her off the edge. As you can see, this red death symbol is pretty wide from the tactical camera view into this entire area. Just make sure it is red like this. And if it is, then it should be successful. We're just going to go ahead and throw, and that should always work. Orin falls down into the pit, and this fight sequence starts. And basically, we have defeated Orin, but it still counts as being alive in this fight. So we're just going to go ahead and pick up this Netherstone Pommeled Bloodthirst, which is the Netherstone that we need for the rest of the questline. So make sure you pick this up and not forget it, because if you do forget it, you're going to basically have to revive Jaheira and then basically do this sequence again the same way. So make sure you grab this Netherstone right here, and then once we receive Orin's Netherstone, we're just going to jump ahead and out to death here. And we're going to basically leave Lae'zel here. Doesn't matter since we don't need her for the rest of the game either. So we just jump with Jaheira to our death here. This basically ends the fight sequence since none of our characters are in the fight anymore. We can just go ahead and go back to our dirge. So once we have done all that, we're going to go ahead and have our dirge here. Just go to our campsite. And sometimes withers may or may not appear. You might have to leave camp and come back or something. It's kind of buggy sometimes, but I don't understand why that happens. You just walk over here and withers can sometimes just not be here. So yeah, you can just leave camp and come back multiple times. Just walking into this area I think helps him spawn back. But all we really need to do is talk to Withers here and just have Withers revive Jaheira. We just say we don't want a partner. We just choose option 1 for both dialogue lines there. And we're just going to go ahead and say I need to resurrect someone, and I want to resurrect Jaheira. And it's 200 gold, we should have enough for this. If you don't have enough, make sure to use Fellow Gear's Fireworks beforehand, or you can pickpocket Withers for the gold that you used before as well for respecking your characters. So here we go. We just revive Jaheira. You can wait for this animation, or you can bonk Withers to speed it up. And Jaheira should basically revive back into our party here, letting us continue on with basically the rest of the game. So here we're going to just go ahead and travel to Worm's Rock. So we're going to go ahead and enter Worm's Rock here. This should basically give us a camp cutscene here, ending the day, and we get a cutscene with the Dirge stuff since we basically completed the Dirge questline by defeating Orin. We say begone, impossible, just option 1 for all of these, and basically we travel to Worm's Rock after that. So now that we have entered Worm's Rock again, we're going to go ahead and with our Dirge, just enhance Sleep and Featherfall, and we're going to just jump to Gale, to Gortash's coronation ceremony. So we're just going to go ahead, jump to this door right here, jump to this door here, and use it to go to the audience hall all the way up top. And we're going to just jump right into the middle of the room here. And that should start this cutscene and everything here. And just choose option 1 for this dialogue line here, and let the ceremony begin. So this first set of dialogue here, we can just choose option 1 for the first 3. But then this second scene here, when Gortash talks to us about the Netherstones, is extremely important to choose the correct dialogue lines here. So we choose option 1 here, just option 1, you talk like you're better than us, but you're a killer too. We get this cutscene with the stuff shaking, and then he asks us to hand him the Netherstones, but we want to make sure we choose option 2. If we are to rule together, the stone should be split between us. So make sure you choose option 2 here.
I'm not here for games.
So he's going to say it again, but we're going to say option 2 once more. We can be allies, but Ketheric and Orin Stone stay with me. And that basically gets Gortash to team up with us. And once we do that, we can just skip all of that. And now Gortash has become a part of our party to go to the end game. So once again, we're going to go ahead to the Temple of Baal, and that basically has our party all set up to go to the final epilogue sequence of the game. So once we're at the Temple of Baal again, we get the Elder Brains cutscene here, basically signifying that we're at the end game. And we're going to go ahead and with Jaheira cast Enhanced Sleep and Featherfall. And Jaheira is going to make her way up to the north here, basically jumping past all of these corpses and stuff onto this rock here, and jumping all the way to this part here. Since we have such large amount of strength, we can just jump super far. And once we jump to this dock right here, we're going to go ahead and very quickly jump past all of these rats, so we skip the fight sequence and immediately use the skiff. And once we proceed with option yes, we're going to go ahead and head to the Morphic Pools. So now that we've entered the Morphic Pools, we're going to go ahead and have Jaheira make her way all the way through this sequence here. So with Jaheira, we're going to cast Enhanced Sleep and basically have her jump all the way to the north here. There should be some section of rocks here if you move your camera around in tactical mode, where you should be able to just manipulate your camera to jump all the way to this area right here. It might take some getting used to or moving your camera a bit and stuff, but it should basically be where these chests are. It's kind of finicky and it might be difficult, but you should be able to do it on all versions by just zooming out your camera all the way back and using the tactical camera. You should be able to jump to these chests and stuff here. If not, you can go around the casual way Just make sure that you avoid the enemies, which is entirely doable. But yeah, we're just going to go ahead and make our way to this side with your hero. And make sure that you have Enhanced Sleep and Featherfall active as well. And we're just going to jump past these stones here that normally you would have to break. But yeah, you should just be able to jump past right through that gap here. And as long as you stay far enough away from these illithid brains by jumping to this torch, you should be able to just jump over to basically the end of the Morphic Pool sequence here. We have Gortash right here ready to talk to us, but we're just going to ignore him and walk to the cutscene. So instead of talking to him, we're just going to just walk past him, jump to this area, and jump all the way down to trigger the cutscene right here. So once we do that, everyone in our party is now in the Elder Brain cutscene, and we're going to just skip through all of this dialogue here. You can technically skip this cutscene by having a dead party member, but it's not really necessary. It just makes this sequence go by faster. And here it doesn't matter if we pass or fail these rolls here. Since none of it really matters, we're just going to skip by it as soon as possible by choosing option 1 for each of these and skipping all of them. And yeah, after doing all of these, Gortash should die, and we just go through one more set here. There's one more after this, which is dominating the brain. Of course, we should fail this, but none of these checks really matter. Just skip past, and this takes us to the astral plane once more. So here we talk to the Emperor, and we're going to say just whatever option 1 I think is fine. And here, this is the very important part where we're going to have Gale do a lot of stuff here. So once again, we're just jumping down with our party grouped up this time, all the way to the Emperor. And as long as we have done all of Gale's dialogue lines earlier, having his camp cutscene and everything by upping his death score, we should be able to get Gale to offer himself another option for this sequence here. So we talk to the Emperor, and we're going to say something else here, which is, would I be able to wield the stones myself if I become illithid? We do not want to release the nether stones to the Emperor, so we choose option 3 right here. So he's going to say yes, but Jaheira or one of our party members butts in to interrupt us. And if you did everything correctly, Gale should have a exclamation mark on his head. So when we talk to Gale, we're going to have him basically talk to us and give us another option. So he's going to reconsider the orb right here. And basically, we're going to say, you truly sacrifice yourself to us, which is option 1. And say, you're absolutely serious about this. So you're really serious about this. And we're going to say, very well, if the time comes, I'll call on you to use the orb. And that basically ensures us that we are guaranteed to have Gale blow up at the end without having to pass an extra persuasion check. So once we do that, we talk to the Emperor, and he's going to say, we have another option. Gale's orb is still powerful enough to destroy the brain. And he says, some option here. And I say, trust me, I know Gale, he'll do this. And we're going to go ahead and open our mind to the parasite here. This allows us to make sure that we're going to not have the Emperor with our party here, since he's going to basically cause us a lot of trouble if he is joining our party at this point. So by opening our mind to the parasite, it allows us to have a additional quote-unquote option as an Illithid to end the sequence. But here we're just going to swing at the Emperor, and that should basically have him turn against us. But since we are an Illithid, we should still be able to do the end sequence here. And we have Gale willing to blow himself up as we enter the upper city here. So once we enter the upper city, there's quite a few options to go about this, but the most important one here is basically having Gale offer himself up here. So Gale needs to be all the way there along with our Tav. So we're going to go ahead and kill Gale here. So just attack him by swinging at him and getting him to come down. And once he goes down, we just kill him, and we're going to have basically Jaheira pick him up. And Jaheira is going to be the one making our way down to the end sequence, and our Dirge as well, who is now Illithid. So we're going to get both of them over by doing it one at a time. There are a lot of other alternative methods. For instance, if you have Lae'zel in your party, you could just do it once and just with Jaheira go all the way. And there's quite a few other options, but this is probably the easier, more simple way. Since Gale is probably, like, you can just do it with Gale as well if you want, but Jaheira is just a lot easier to jump around with. So we're going to go ahead with Jaheira, Enhance Sleep, and Featherfall. And we're going to have Jaheira make her way all the way through. And since Jaheira has a lot of jump, we should be able to just jump onto the rooftop here, past everything, and jump to this sequence here. And make sure that our Dirge is not following us. And once we reach this point, we want to make sure that we are weaving past all of these sea invisible enemies here. There's quite a few of them, and we're just going to make a very important route through this sequence here, and that requires us to be invisible. So make sure to recast Enhanced Sleep and Featherfall at this point, then cast Invisibility, and jump to this area right at this broken fence, and you should be able to jump all the way to this corner right here. That should get past all of these sea invisibility enemies. Then we jump down to the middle here, and this area can look very scary, but since we're invisible, none of it really matters. We're going to just go ahead and jump all the way to this area right here. Right before this point here, if you feel like you need more time, you can recast Enhanced Sleep, Featherfall, and Invisibility right here as well. So we can just show it right here, Enhanced Sleep, Featherfall, and Invisibility. And we're just going to jump past here, and there's some more enemies here which are Intellect Devourers. We should trigger this cutscene here with the end game, and basically have Jaheira jump all the way to this side right here. Jump to this area right here by exiting turn-based mode, since we enter it from hitting that other area here. And we're just going to jump all the way through this window right here to the end room here. This gets the cutscene with the brainstem, and we're just going to go ahead and skip it. Now, once again, we're just going to go back to our Dirge and do basically everything the same way. So our Dirge is in Illithid, which also gives us the ability to fly. So that's going to be kind of useful, but we can't really use the same route that Jaheira does, since our Dirge doesn't have as much jump ability, since we don't have the athlete feat or as much strength. So when we jump to the double doors here, we get the cutscene with withers and stuff, and we're just going to keep making our way this way. So at this bottom area here, we're going to go ahead and recast our spells, and we should be able to just use Levitate here to fly all the way to the top of the roof to where Jaheira was. And here, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing, Enhance Sleep, Better Fall, and Invisibility. And be very careful with all these enemies here. So we're going to jump here, and just be cautious about the sea invisibility enemies. We're going to jump down to the bottom area here, and then jump back up top. And that should basically be the same thing as what Jaheira did. And for the rest of this area, it should be just completely fine. So once again, make very sure that you are weaving through all the sea invisibility enemies, which are the ones with the purple eyes above their heads. Once again, you can recast your spells here if you want. And here you can also use Levitate. It's a little bit easier to get around for this more rocky area as well. There should be no more enemies here once we hit the top here, so there should be no need to worry. And we're just going to fly all the way to the top with our dirge. So once we get here, we're going to go ahead and with Jaheira, we're going to go ahead and drop him back onto the ground. So I'm just going to select Jaheira, open her inventory, and drop Gale on the ground. And we're going to go ahead and with one of our Revivify scrolls, which we should have a couple at least, we're going to just revive Gale up top here. Just wherever he should be able to revive. And yeah, we're just going to go ahead, and since all of our party is here, we should be able to just use the brainstem right here. We say we're ready to face the nether brain, and Gale should offer himself to end the game. So we just skip through this dialogue, and we say, then this is farewell, which is option 6. We skip through Gale's dialogue, and that basically ends the game. So Gale's cutscene should appear right here with the nether brain. We just go ahead and skip all of it. The nether brain's going to have the cutscene with Gale, and that's it. So all of the rest of this is just a post-game dialogue sequence. And yeah, that is everything that is needed for the achievement. So that is it for the tutorial series. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, make sure to like and subscribe if you want to help support the channel. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for all my Baldur's Gate 3 tutorials that I'll be doing. But I do have other plans for the future. I'm planning on probably doing some more speedrun content created videos of more variety, and might do some Halo tutorials as well, since I'm a big fan of the Halo series and stuff. And yeah, I might just do a bunch of other things in the future. And I do have some other Baldur's Gate 3 ideas as well that I might pursue, along with some other interesting topics that I would like to go over. And yeah, just hope you all enjoyed it, and hope this tutorial series was helpful for you. Thanks for watching, and good luck on your runs.